In the past few videos, we've taken a look at the ability to add geometry using extrusions and insets, as well as the ability to delete geometry to customize our shapes further. But now we're going to introduce the concept of modifiers. So for this example, I'm just going to delete the custom object and replace it with a cube. Now we're going to go back into edit mode for our new object. We're going to go into face select and select the top face. For this top face, I'm going to delete it by pressing the X key and delete the face. Now we have an open top box. However, a box like this cannot exist in the real world. Its edges and faces are infinitely thin, and that simply doesn't apply to real world physics. You can't have a box that's this thin, so we need to add some thickness to it, and we can do so by adding a special modifier which affects the entirety of the object. To add this modifier, I'm going to go back into object mode for my cube. Then I'm going to go to the Modifiers tab in the Properties panel. You can see the Modifiers tab here. It looks like a blue wrench, so left click and you will get the option to add a modifier. Left click to open the menu and you should see a wide range of options here. Our choice is going to be this one, the Solidify modifier. Left click and it automatically applies these settings to our model, and we can manipulate them here, so it's almost a sense of being able to procedurally edit our model in real time. The only option here that I'm worried about right now is the thickness. This is how much thickness that our box is actually going to be given from this modifier. So I'm going to click and drag, and as I do that, you can see from the various corners that we are increasing the thickness of our edges. You can apply a modifier by just going to the little down arrow here, left clicking and selecting apply. Before I do that, I want to note what happens if we go back into edit mode. When we go back into edit mode, you may think that we would be able to select all of the faces on top that we have generated, but we can't, because they still don't exist on the actual geometry. They're being generated by the modifier. So what's actually happening here is I'm just selecting the faces on the outside, because they do form the original part of the mesh. If you wanted to select the top faces on this box, or the faces that are on the inside of the box, you would need to apply the Solidify modifier. To do that, we're going to go back into Objects mode. We're going to open up this menu here and select the Apply option. Initially, it doesn't look like anything happens other than the modifier disappearing. But if we go into Edit mode, we will now be able to select the top faces as well as the faces on the inside of our box. So we've created more geometry using the Solidify modifier. Now let's take a look at one more modifier just to finish off. We're going to go back into Objects mode, and by the way, I've just done that by pressing the Tab key on your keyboard. The Tab key should be located next to the letter Q. So press Tab to swap between Edit mode and Objects mode. Go to the Add Modifier menu again, and this time we're going to select Bevel. Left click, and what the Bevel modifier is going to do is it's going to create curved edges all the way around our object. So I can manipulate things like the amount, which is the distance of the bevel, and at the moment I think the bevel's a bit too strong, so I'm going to reduce the amount to 0.02. We've now got a smaller bevel both inside and out, but we can actually see the extra geometry a little bit too clearly. I want this to be a nice smooth edge. So what I can do is increase the number of segments. The more segments we have, the more geometry we add, and the more the bevel is going to curve around the edges of the object. So I'm going to set this to 5. And now we've got a very nice looking box that has thickness and also has nice smooth edges going all the way around it. And we've been able to achieve that by A, deleting geometry, B, adding a solidify modifier, and C, adding a bevel modifier. 3 steps to creating a simple but nice looking 3D model.